Welcome back, my friends. Today we just have a quick little report here on our latest trip to the range using some 308 Winchester with a 175 grain Match King, Federal 210 primers, and Vitavori N140 powder. So before we jump into our target, we're just going to take a quick look at our components. Of course, the Federal 210M, that's basically, one of the standards. Vitavori N140 here. This is my first time using any Vitavori powders, and I'll tell you, I am pretty impressed here. It looks like a very standard stick powder. It is not their temperature controlled extreme environmental powder. That's their 500 series. So this one probably does have swings in velocity when you have changes in your temperature. But in my testing so far, it's very, very consistent, and it's right about the same bird speed as Varget. Now for our projectiles here, you'll notice that these are the blems we polished up a little while back in our wet tumbler, but you can also kind of see that one of them looks a bit shorter than the other. Well, that's because one of them is a 168 grain Match King, while the other one that I wanted to test is a 175 grain Match King. So after sorting through some of these, there's a lot of the 168s mixed in, and I don't know how many actually ended up on paper here from the 168s versus the 175s. So I'm pretty much going to have to retest everything, although I think we have a really good baseline of what's going on here. But yeah, maybe we should sort our things out first, especially if they're blems. Whoopsie. And there, yeah, I just threw it back into the same pile, but yeah, we'll be sorting those next time. Anyways, let's take a look at our brass here. We were only doing 3-shot groups, but I did 5 different charges here. You can see our primers slightly flattened, no cratering, no ejector smears or anything like that, like we were seeing on our charges of CFE 223. So far the brass is looking just fine, and we have a little bit of room to move up in charge weight. So let's check out our target and we'll see what's going on here. So once again, I'm very new with Vitavori powders. They stink expensive, but I tell you what, they like to perform. I'll tell you what now, dang girl. Anyways, we started at 39.8 grains and went up to 41 grains. I believe their maximum on the Vitavori website is 41.4 maybe. So we're gonna end up working up to that. But anyways, our very first shots here, I think we had a cold bore, and this could have been one where one of these wasn't the same weight as the others. Our chronograph numbers, a pretty low velocity here with 2381. However, extreme spread of only 9 feet per second, and our standard deviation was 4. Holy crap, I've never seen single digits in the extreme spread column there. That's pretty impressive. As for our group size, there's about 0.89. Come over here, right at an inch from outside to outside. So about there we go, we'll get rid of the bullet. So we're right at about 0.8 for this first group here, from center to center. Not too bad with the cold bore and a potentially incorrect bullet. Oh, so it helps if you actually zero your calipers. Let's remeasure this group real quick. Sorry. You measure from edge to edge, that'll give you center to center. So there's about 0.98-ish, and then this side here, we're up to 1.2. So a little bit bigger than I thought. However, not horrible. Moving on now. Okay, here we are at 40.1 grains. An average of 2413, extreme spread up to 19 feet per second. However, our standard deviation still single digits at 8 feet per second. And we've got all 3 of these bullets touching right here, so let's check her out. We're at about 0.75 from outside to outside. Kind of hard to measure, but we'll take out, take out about 0.3. We're down to a 0.45, maybe a ½ inch right there. We'll just call it a ½ inch and be generous. Very nice there with 40.1. And this is the only one I actually had any range footage of, so let's go take a look at that real quick.
2,416. 2,402. 2,421.
Boom, so very nice, 40.1 grains. This one gets a golden star for the day. We get a check mark. We might have to come back and investigate this, although our velocities, 2413, that's pretty stinking low for these compared to the, the federal gold medal loading is 2,600 feet per second. So we are lacking there, but I don't care how fast it's moving if it shoots like that. I mean, dang girl, that's pretty good. Anyways, let's move up to our next charge. Okay, so at 40.4 grains, again, we have two right there, touching over there in the corner, and then one flying here. And again, I'm gonna guess that this is the lighter bullet because it'd be moving faster with it being lighter with the same powder charge, so it would go boo. So that's what I'm thinking, lighter bullet, same powder, should be landing a little bit higher. So this could have been all three here, just like this, which is pretty much an identical point of impact, just barely low and right corner of the target there. So these two charges between the two look very promising, if that was in fact the odd bullet weight. So we're gonna probably end up retesting all this crap. But let's go ahead and measure here. Somewhere around 1.2 inches with this one outside there. Not horrible, but I feel like I could probably shoot better and we might be able to tighten this up, especially because our extreme spread back down to 5 feet per second and standard deviation of only 2 between 3 shots there. And between the 3/10 increase in powder charge, we only went up 6 feet per second between these two charges here. So maybe right in the middle, we have somewhat of a velocity node where we have a pretty stable powder charge, whether we're off a 1/10 in either direction. Pretty close numbers there, so I might be investigating right in this area of the charge weights again. Let's move on up. Our fourth charge here, 40.7 grains. Our velocity is starting to creep up a bit, 24.48. Extreme spread opened up to 32, and the standard deviation is at 14 at this point. And you can see once again, very similar point of impact at the bottom right of our little sticky there. Here we're looking at about a 0.8 inch or so group. Not too bad. Who knows if that was me or if that was, again, the wrong freaking bullet. I might have to just redo this whole stupid test again, which isn't stupid. I don't know why I said that. Very good information here. I've never seen Vitavori chronograph numbers, but holy crap, I can see why all the people who shoot and they're important at shooting things use those powders. So yeah, 0.8 inches. So far seems about our average, except when you get them all together. Very nice there. Moving up to our last charge. So here we have 41 grains of Vitavori N140 there. Average velocity of 24.71. Extreme spread of 14 and standard deviation of 6 feet per second there. Pretty much all of our charges today, standard deviations in the single digits, except this one opened up a little bit. That's freaking incredible. Also, pretty much the same point of impact. We have them pretty much averaged around the bottom right of that little sticky there. Also very nice. And this is going to be about a 0.6 inch group or somewhere in there. I'm not going for precise measuring or anything, but yeah, 0.56, somewhere in there, 0.58. Very nice showing. And once again, this was our last powder charge. So you can see the primers are starting to flatten out and no cratering on our primer. So I believe we can work up a little bit hotter, see if those velocity numbers can stay tight like that. That would be pretty cool. And maybe we can get to, say, 25 or 2550 feet per second. That might be pretty cool. But again, if we're down at 2400 and it stacks them all together, I'm also good with that. So there's a lot of things I need to do here. I'm very impressed with this pattern, so we're going to keep using it. That's very consistent. One of the variables here that seem to be easier to control than others. And if we can sort our bullets, we can get that variable under control. So we're going to do that and actually get the same weight of bullet. And from there, I might even sort them from overall length. Who knows? That could be a total waste. But first, we're going to go by weight and get those figured out. As far as our primers, I don't have an issue with these. I think we're doing great, and it's almost the standard for competitive or long range or whatever people are doing that are sponsored and can pick whatever they want. I usually read about them using the 210s. As far as where to go on our powder charge, I said I wanted to investigate this area here between 41 and maybe 40.5 up in here. However, we weren't seeing any pressure signs, and these numbers on the chronograph are looking pretty good. And I'd like to see if we can get a little bit hotter for no reason, really, just to see where that line is. So I'm going to verify 41 grains, and then we're going to move up to 41.2 and then 41.4. And we're going to take 5 shots at each of those charge weights there. And if we hit pressure signs or if it just falls apart, I'm going to come right back here into this little sweet spot, and we're going to test 40.1, 40.3, 40.5, somewhere in that sort of area, because you can see we have a very consistent point of impact across this charge weight. And I'm pretty sure if I use the same freaking bullet, they'll all go into the same hole if I'm doing my part. So there you go, folks. Quick little report on the Sierra Match Kings with some Vitavori N140. We're gonna keep dialing this one in. I think if I get it, dialed in just a little better, tuned in a little better, we can stack them all on top of each other. Then I'm gonna reach out to 200 and 300 yards out at the range there and see what kind of groups we can get. And if I can start learning how to read the wind and all that kind of fun stuff. So that should be awesome here coming up shortly. Anyways, if you enjoy this sort of content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. You can support us over on patreon.com/dummyround. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.